Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Roundtable of Wraith. I am Chris. I'm joined by Ryan and Roscoe. And, gentlemen, less than 24 hours ago yesterday, we are in the midst of a potential snowmageddon in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
Potential.
I got 0 inches of snow up here.
Yeah. Well, you're one of those Yankees up north. Us here down south, we got a little bit of action. But today, the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day, and we're in the midst of what most TCG players would probably say is one of their favorite times of year. We're in the midst of spoiler season, and that just started basically last night, March 3rd. Today is Saturday, March 4th, and we are rocking and rolling with all these Assassin, Azuri spoilers for the new set of Outsiders. So a pretty exciting time for us here as Flesh and Blood players, and one of the biggest reveals we got was Azuri, the Switchblade from Red Zone Rogue. And if I remember correctly, he had stated that somehow it was leaked out. So they gave him permission to unveil the hero, I guess, early. So we don't really know when that was going to happen exactly, but we got it early.
I think Azuri was supposed to come out today, but it was a good guy LSS. I guess it was going around in like private chats. It wasn't on the internet at all, but I guess a couple of gaming groups got it. And LSS realized it, contacted Red Zone Rogue and said, hey, go live with this so it doesn't get leaked like without you. So good on LSS for, stepping in there and doing the right thing. It was cool of them to, still let Rogue have his moment there.
For sure. Definitely shout out to Rogue for that production value there on that video. Very well done. But we have Azuri here up on the screen. The Switchblade, the Assassin hero, 4 intellect, 40 health. Once per turn attack reaction. Banish a card from your hand face down. Turn the card banished this way face up. If it's an attack action card with cost 2 or less, put target attacking card with stealth from the active chain link on the bottom of its owner's deck. Then put the banished card onto the active chain link as the attacking card. That's quite the mouthful, but also very, very cool ability. So this is the second hero who we've seen have an attack reaction. Mr. Bolton from Monarch had his attack reaction. And now we have Azuri, who's doing a lot of trickery with potentially sneaking in an attack action card onto the combat chain, but with the caveat of needing to lead out with the stealth attack first. So any initial reactions here, gentlemen, just to the ability itself and the hero?
Yeah, I mean, she's really good. I mean, obviously, there's a couple of things. You already have a deck building restriction because you need to have those stealth cards. So you have to have a good ratio of that in your deck in order to, have her ability able to be procced. But operating in the reaction step like that, like the opponent declares blocks, right? And then all they can do in reaction is then have a defense reaction. And if they don't, you can kind of really do some mean stuff with some of the cards that, we already have access to. Like every time something like this happens, right, we always go to Command and Conquer. Like just cheating in a Command and Conquer when your opponent, blocks, like all the stealth cards attack for 3, as we're going to talk about, right? So if you block or you lead out with a stealth card for 3, they think that's all they're covering, and then all of a sudden you pull it back, hit Command and Conquer, and now they can't play a defense reaction, and now they're losing their arsenal card. That's just mean. Like, that's crazy. So, yeah, I think she's going to be, really interesting. I think she's going to obviously warp the game a little bit, which is great. That's what you want in new heroes. She's going to be competitive, I think. But, yeah, I'm really excited. I think she's really, really cool.
Roscoe?
It's a super interesting ability. It is powerful. I originally misevaluated this. So one huge thing to keep in mind is that using this ability costs the original attack from your hand. So it's not making things free. So one way to imagine it is you basically are pitching a card off of the combat chain in order to play your attack that you swap in, which is why it's way better value to use it on a 2-cost attack than on anything cheaper. And it can cause you to literally gain resources because you could be pitching a red to play CNC, then you're resource positive, which is awesome. But it's not exactly about that. I would say it's more about the mind games and the is this going to turn into a CNC suddenly, or does this stealth attack have a good on hit in the first place? So he's just going to spike it. So she's extremely tricksy, and she makes the defend step really tough.
Yeah, that's like a lot of the stealth cards already, and the A reacts, like the spikes and stuff like that. Even the initial assassin ones that were on hit, where 0 for 3, if this hits, create a blood rot token. If this hits, create an inertia token. Whatever it is, she's already got relevant on hits. So, like you said, the mind games of, dude, if I overblock this, I'll shut it down, but now I'm committing 2 cards. If I don't block it, is he just going to give me an inertia token and a blood rot? Or if I block with 1 card, is he pulling it back for CNC or Shakedown or something like that? So she's vicious. I mean, people had a tough time with Dory, and Dory is just vanilla Dawnblade damage. Now you have to add that added layer of these on hits are pretty deadly, and it's a new layer of blocking that. People that don't like playing Dory are really going to hate playing against Azuri.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool design space as far as how they managed to figure out this whole stealth, quote unquote, mechanic that isn't a mechanic, as that whole article kind of alluded to. But I think a good place for us to start with all of that kind of context and initial premise in mind is these stealth starter cards. So Ryan, you had mentioned that all of these cards appear to be, what we can see so far is the reds are all three power cards that have stealth. The yellows are 2 power, the blues are 1 power. They all appear to block for 3. And generally, these are having some sort of on hit effect, as you mentioned, to create some sort of token. So we have Infect, which is the one that creates a Blood Rot Pox token. Man, that's a mouthful. Blood Rot Pox token. We got there. We got there. Then we have what's the next one? I can't remember.
Sedate.
There's Sedate and there's Wither.
Gotcha. Yep. Sedate is the inertia token. And then Wither is the frailty token. So I guess just with these 3 kind of on the foreground here of the discussion based on the tokens, I think it's important for us to clarify what the tokens do. So the Blood Rot Pox token is at the beginning of your end phase. Destroy the token, and it deals 2 damage to you unless you pay 3 resources. The Frailty that says your attack action cards played from arsenal and weapon attacks you have. Weapon attacks have -1 power. Destroyed at the end of the phase. And then Inertia is at the beginning of your end phase. Destroy Inertia. Then put all cards from your hand and arsenal on the bottom of your deck, so preventing your opponent from being able to arsenal for that round. So generally speaking, it seems like the Blood Rot Pox and the Inertia are just kind of vanilla, pretty decent. And then the Frailty seems maybe a little bit more niche depending on your matchup. But with these tokens in mind, now that we know what these do, what do you guys think about the Wither, the Sedate, and these Infect starters that we've seen so far?
Go ahead, Roscoe. Start us off.
I feel like Blood Rot Pox is just flatly the best. Damage is great. So Infect stands out in this trio being just like a good card. Like Red Infect threatens 5 damage, which is great. So it makes them want to block it. Like Bite into Infect is just super annoying. So it's just a good card in the first place, which makes you not really want to Azuri it, which is fine because you're not going to be Azuring every single turn. So like Sedate has the advantage of like the token is not so backbreaking that they feel the need to block it. So you're going to be like kind of making this decision of, am I going to Azuri this or am I going to just let this attack do its thing? So that feels almost a little more interesting because it's a little sneakier. Like if I'm attacked by an Infect, I actually care about the Infect and I might just block it. But if that's making sense.
Yeah. I mean, I like that we're getting these toolboxy cards, right? Like Wither is so obviously good against like Ninja or in the mirror. If the daggers are coming at you for 1, well, nope, not anymore. You can't do anything with that. Sedate is really good against cards classes that want to arsenal. So you have like Icelander, if she's still there. Obviously, I'm assuming that we're going to get a big influx of players that are playing Ranger this set. So depending on the matchup and obviously deck spaces, all of these have they're where Bloodrock Pox might not be as good against like Guardian, who is going to have a bunch of blues that they just don't have to care about it. So each of these 3 tokens has their kind of matchups that they shine in, which makes it a little bit. It gives her a little bit more tools to play with against various matchups instead of just having kind of a dead matchup or whatever. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of where Arachne failed. Was he really didn't have a ton of on hits aside from the 3 big Majestics that people had to worry about. But Azuri seems like everything is complicating with on hit, complicated with the on hits, which is good.
Oh yeah,
like people care about these.
If your card doesn't have an on hit, then you spike it, and then it gets one.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of the spikes, so you guys were alluding to the mind games of when you lead out with the stealth. Do they have the attack reaction card? Do they have an attack action card like a Command and Conquer? So it's kind of clearly hard for the opponent to try to figure out what you could potentially have. So we have 3 of these spike attack reactions: spike with Blood Rot, spike with Frailty, spike with Inertia, and they're all 1-costed attack reaction reds. And it gives plus a card with stealth +3, and then on a hit, it would make the token. So, Roscoe, you are a judge for Flesh and Blood. So let's say you attack someone with an infect, which is on hit, make a Blood Rot Pox token. Let's say you decide to spike the infect. Do these clauses of creating the token stack on top of each other?
Yeah. You would get to. Similar to like stacking seeds multiple times. It's just as if that sentence were printed multiple times on the card.
Right, multiple instances of a clause, right? So I don't think, unless I'm missing something on the February, it doesn't seem like they're printing these as a cycle.
They're not.
So they're just the red 1-costers?
Only red.
Yeah, I think, isn't Ranger's Edge just a red as well?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Which I like, because it's like no one... I like that they finally kind of took the hint there that like you're never going to run a spike blue, right? So just print the ones that people are going to run and then call it a day there.
Well, I feel, not to interrupt you, Ryan, but I feel like Razor's Edge might have the cycle, because in the February library here, Razor's Edge is card 42, and then there's card 43 and 44 that are not unveiled yet.
Good call.
So
I can't read.
That's probably a hint that there's a cycle there, but we're not really sure. But yeah, so these are pretty interesting. So you can play, and they also block for 3, which is kind of a theme we've seen with these assassin cards, as opposed to something like a Razor Reflex or what have you that can block for 2. So it'll be cool to see these making their way into the decks. And do you guys have an initial hot take here? If you think these are something that are like auto includes, or maybe like more fringe metagame sideboard type things?
I think the Blood Rod for sure.
The blocking 3 is a big deal. That's something that's really surprising me about these assassin cards, especially all the stealth like leaders. It just seems like a little different philosophy than they've used previously, because with things like Ninja's first chain link like starters, and with like the element cards from the elemental heroes, it tends to be that when they like create a gimmick that requires you to put this certain kind of card in your deck, those usually 2 block, so that you have this like tension of, well, how many elemental cards am I going to play, because they're going to make my blocking worse. But with Assassin, you're not really playing that game. You get to block 3 everywhere, which is great.
I think
Plus
one
you
of
get to buy back your blocks if you're rich enough. Good stuff.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons they've done that is mainly because it's very difficult for Assassin to go wide. So like you have a little bit more block. Like it's more of like, hey, defensive.
Yeah,
you beat him with the toolboxy stuff. Like, and then yeah, I think that's kind of their way to balance that a little bit. But yeah, it's very 3 blocks are welcome.
So along with the token starters, there's also a couple other starters that have been spoiled here on the February. One of them is called Prowl, and this is a 0-cost 3 stealth. It says the next attack with stealth you play this combat chain gains +1 power. So you're mentioning kind of the lack of ability to go wide, but this with the new Arachne, that we've just seen. So I guess we should touch on him really quick. The new Arachne, Solitary Confinement. Your first attack with stealth each turn has go again. So he's giving the first stealth card go again to maybe give you some additional action there. Maybe swinging in multiple stealth cards. But so we have Prowl, and then we have, what's the next one? I just saw it a second ago. Isolate. So Isolate is a 0 cost dominate. So this one seems pretty interesting as far as for the Azuri attack reaction ability. What do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, that's mean with Azuri, I think. Prowl is definitely the Arachne card. I don't know if until we see the rest of the set, I don't know if Azuri's going to want that, just because there's just so many better options for her. But Isolate's super interesting. Just, especially if you know that the ability is going to be live, you can almost guarantee that your pullback is going to hit, which is great.
Yeah, Isolate is good, but it also does what her ability does inherently, and it makes it like bad and hard to block during the defense step. But yeah, especially when you have something with a gnarly on hit, like her specialization or CNC, then you fully force them to only normal defend with one card. It's important to note that the dominate will go away if you Azuri in an attack without dominate. So defense reactions could still be played later, unless the card you're Azuriing in is CNC.
Yeah,
which of course is the key.
That combo is going to make people just lose their minds.
Yeah,
that's crazy. It's so filthy.
So we have these starters here. So maybe we want to go to some of these. How about this one at the top? Infiltrate. This is a big majestic here. 0 cost, 3 attack, stealth starter here. And this says, when this hits a hero, banish the top card of their deck. You may play it until the end of your turn. So this is clearly one that you don't want to be flipping out with Azuri. You want to get that on hit and see, take a lottery ticket here and see what's on top. See if we get something good.
One of the underrated ways though that she's playing is if this happens, right? You put on Infiltrate. They okay, I got to play around, on hits or whatever. I got to play around attack reacts. So they block with 2 cards. You can then just Azuri ability and put this on the bottom and just save it for later. You know what I mean? You don't have to commit this card if they're going to overblock it. That's kind of one of the ways that she can play around with is hey, I can just kind of waste a card in my hand using the ability with her. You still blocked 2 cards and now you're basically blocking against nothing. So you don't just have to sit there and say, well, Infiltrate got blocked. What do I do? And that was another thing I compared to the original Arachne, right? Where you would play Leave No Witnesses and they would just commit 3 cards or 2 cards or whatever it was and shut you down. And you'd be like, well, there goes one of my big threats. She has a way of continuing to recycle these threats in her deck, which is incredible. So I think that's kind of a really cool aspect of her ability that we haven't really touched on and I haven't really seen a ton of discussion is being able to keep a card like Infiltrate in your deck and not just wasting it on the on the combat chain.
Yeah, that's sneaky good.
I have not thought about it that way. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the fact that they go to the bottom of your deck is definitely relevant. So it helps you they do kind of get pitched, so they don't get discarded like attacks themselves do. So you get to do weird things with your ratios because the amount of stealth cards that you have in your deck is going to stay relatively constant. So that'll be an interesting space. And you can always just use her ability to basically discard a random card from your hand in order to preserve a threat, which I never even thought about that before. Good idea, Ryan. Especially if you're playing a really long game, kind of like how Arachne is right now. If you really care about keeping your threat density high for the long term, then that's totally a valid move.
Yeah, and you have, let's say you have a hand where it's Infiltrate and 2 blue shreds or something like that, and they block over. I don't know. I'm just using it as an example. They overblock to where the shred wouldn't matter. You just Infiltrate bottom of the deck. I'm going to throw a blue shred. It's not playable, but I'm just going to banish it anyway, and now move on with my life. You know what I'm saying? That's just it's a cool little interaction that she has.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, Ryan. Good call.
Thank you, boys. Thank you.
The card you use will have to be an attack for all that to work, but yes, the general idea.
No, but you can just banish any card.
Yeah, but your infiltrate won't go anywhere.
If it's an attack action card with cost 2 or less. Okay, so I was on.
But that general idea is throw a blue attack that you weren't going to play.
I was on the path to greatness and then fell off like right at the end there. But we were getting there and then just
all of a sudden off the side of the bridge.
It exists.
All right, after Infiltrate, we have another big M here, which is called Shakedown, and this was part of Red Zone Rogue's spoiler package here. The Azuri Specialization, look out. 2 cost, 6 power, assassin, action, attack. If you've played or activated an attack reaction this chain link, Shakedown has, when this hits a hero, choose red, yellow, or blue. They reveal their hand, banish a card of the chosen color. Ooh, this is a big dog.
The card's crazy.
Yeah. You'll play 3 of this.
You absolutely. That's a mandatory 3 of. The crazy thing too about these cards, like the spikes and everything like that, is you're just or like any of the assassin reacts. It just targets assassin like react cards. Like I know spike, you have to have a card with stealth, but like, where am I at? Maybe I'm wrong again, but it's just like having this card out there and like cheating it in, almost guaranteeing a hit is just crazy. Like if you have this with a shred in your hand or an arsenal or something like that, and they're like saving a D react and you can just guarantee that this thing hits, you're just really messing up. Like if it's a card that or a class that wants pitch, it's called blue and bam, that's just gone. If it's Phi, call red, bam, it's gone. Like this card's crazy.
Yeah, it's a really, really good on hit. Really efficient card to pull in with her effect. Yeah.
It's almost like
CNC, you want this. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got CNC, we have Shakedown. So we already have 6 awesome targets. So I'm sure we'll find a couple more as we keep going through this card pool here. Next in the list, we have Spreading Plague. This is an interesting card. It's a yellow. It's a 1-cost attack reaction card, 3 block. Create X Bloodrot Pox tokens under the defending hero's control, where X is the number of defending cards this chain link. So I guess most often it would be 2, possibly 1. I mean, 1 or 2. Unless, Ryan, to your point, and sometimes in that Dorinthia effect, if they overblock it with like 3 or 4 cards, you could make 3 or 4 tokens in that situation and possibly get them for 8 damage unless they pay 12 resources or whatever it is. So it's another just interesting mind game that to be on the other side of knowing that this card exists if this is something that sees play.
Roscoe, what's the math on this? Like to get this good? Is it 2 or is it 3?
2 would be fine. If you count them as 4 damage. So 1 cost, 4 damage, go again is okay. High rolling to 3 or more is how it's like way over curve. So that's your dream is 3 or more, I would say. 2 is okay if you don't have a better way to use it. But thankfully it's a yellow that blocks 3. So you could, it could be a bite or a block on other turns. So certainly an option.
This is a game ender too. Like if you can get them down in like a Kadachi lock, like you pitch this early and then you come back for second cycle or something, and they're on 1 or 2 health, where everything is a 2-card block. This card just wins.
I like it.
They can't do anything against it. Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
I think it's cool. It's just a cool card. And Roscoe, like you said, they also made it a yellow. I mean, they could have made it a red, but they at least gave you some resource pitch there, kind of with the narrowness of the card in a way. If that makes any sense, what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. And this can target anything. Like it's not targeting an assassin card.
It doesn't need to be assassin. Yeah.
If they block 2 cards for CNC, it's like, ha, sucker.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
And especially against like if you're playing against a deck that doesn't have a lot of blues and you can smack down a couple blood rots, I mean, they could be in some trouble. They're taking some hits during their turn, Yeah,
4 health that's not bad, especially when we go to the other, some of the legendary that got spoiled where you're, able to kind of deal damage and not have it prevented. Like she's going to chip away a little bit quicker than I think people are like anticipating.
Sure.
Yeah.
And she blocks
this at 2
blocks well.
What did you say, Roscoe?
Blocks like a king. hitting this at 2 is better than I originally thought, because it's not just a non-attack action. Like being in the reaction step is a boon. Like most of our 1-cost attack reactions are going to do 3 damage, and this threatens 4 on a 2 block. That's pretty sweet. But it is awkward that you have to you decide whether you're going to pitch it to bite or if you're going to like try to play it, and you might get stuck with it.
It's you like almost never want to put this in Arsenal because it's reliant on your opponent, but at the same time, the effect is like usually pretty good because she's got so many on hits that they're gonna probably want to commit cards to. It's
that's true.
I think it's good. I like this card. I'm gonna definitely as soon as the set comes out, play it for 3 and just see how awkward it fits. But I think it's very good.
All right, we're in spreading plague. Let's spread that plague around.
Spread it, boys.
Spread it.
All right, we have to a more unexciting card, Backstab, another starter here. This is a 0-cost 3-attack stealth. D reacts, cannot be played to Backstab's chain link. But to Roscoe, to your point, as Red Zone Rogue pointed out, if you decide to flip this out, that clause is no longer active on that combat chain if you Azuri in a different attack.
Yeah, so this one's fairly unexciting. It's mostly about spiking it, which is fine.
yeah. I guess that's the most you can say. It's fine. Yeah.
It doesn't blow my mind.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
It doesn't have an on hit in the first place, and it sort of is a non-bow with Azuri because once you Azuri, they can dereact. So it's.
I think to your point there about the like narrowness of it is probably why they made it a rare for limited purposes. Like for draft, you don't really want to see this because it doesn't really matter. You'd rather have basically any other starter, except for this. Like the commons are way better than this in a limited environment. So shout out to them for putting that in there like that.
Maybe it'll matter a lot with a Riptide in the mix. Presumably he'll have an above average number of defense reactions.
Good call. I forgot about the old Fishman, as Ryan called him.
So maybe vanilla damage that can't be dereacted is going to be good against Fishman, or
that's
at least
good call.
Something you might want to draft or see.
Yeah, maybe it would be good. Maybe it would be too good against him at common, so they don't want it to be floating around all over the place. So that's a good call. I forgot about that.
Well, they want it to exist in pools. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, this is definitely more of a limited. I think it's more of a limited card, and like that's kind of, I think we nailed why it's a rarity. I think there's just so many better options when you do get into constructed that this card can probably take a back seat.
Yeah, I mean, this poor guy just taking that dagger, right? I mean, just straight to the back.
Through it, man. Just
no chance. No chance.
There are tons of these 0-cost stealth attacks, like a lot more than I expected.
Yeah.
So this weird thing that you can do is if you love these 2-cost attacks, you actually don't need to run as many yellows and blues as a normal person does in order to still play those, because you can always Azuri cheat them in. So there's the wanting to play a bunch of 0-cost 3-attack cards is a deck building cost, but it's also a little bit of an alternate strength where your deck can be a little redder than it would be otherwise. So I don't know. We still have to see what the whole dagger situation is, because you're still going to want resources to use those. So it's not like you're literally all red, but there's this weird thing that's going to happen where you don't need quite as many resources to support CNC as other people do.
Oh man,
that'll matter.
I guess just really quick, we should also touch on the Razor's Edge, which was one of the first cards that was spoiled, but just 0 cost attack reaction target attack action card with stealth gets +3 at the end. So you have Razor's Edge, you have the spikes, and shred, and what else am I forgetting?
Cut to the chase, but that's only that has contract, to be that's contract only.
Yes,
yeah,
right. Spike and Razor's Edge are stealth. Cut to the chase is contract.
Shred is just assassin. Shred I think is going to be kind of an MVP of this deck.
Sure,
crazy card.
Well, I guess it's also now that we're talking about limited. It's good to know that the spikes are at rare for draft, and Razor's Edge is the common. So obviously that's why it's just a straight up 3 with no on hit effect, and then the rares give you a token on the back for a resource.
Yeah, 0-cost +3 attack reaction is good in the first place, and then becomes really good if you have on hits.
Yeah, I mean we've seen
Wither, Sedate.
we've seen how powerful Cut to the Chase and Iron Song response can be. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a 0 for 3.
The dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a very, very good card.
In Constructed, you might be doing more stealths because it'll be like, or spikes, because it probably will be really common to use a blue to dagger than attack react. But that remains to be seen.
Good call.
Yep.
All right, boys. So we're at the bottom here of the, as we've called them, the ass cards, the ass pool. So where do you want to go from here? Did you want to go to the stuff that we don't have on the Fabric? Did you want to go to more stuff on this page, or?
I think we can like kind of get into it and talk a little bit still about the assassin cards that haven't been updated on Fabric yet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like talk about the daggers. There's another 0 for 3 Malign is one of them. Malign says it's got stealth. It's a 0 for 3 red, 3 block, tails all this time. It says damage that would be dealt by Malign cannot be prevented, which is cute, but like, is it insane?
I got these on my Fabric page, by the way.
Oh, they are?
If you pull a refresh.
Yeah. Oh, let's refresh, boys. Big day, big day. Oh, they're all up here, guys. Look at this.
Look at Roscoe.
Dude. Guys, so, Roscoe has used the internet. He's also a judge. This is why we pay him the big bucks, okay?
This is a little less, it's better than just me and Mena just figuring our way out. Neither of us would have refreshed.
This is true.
It looks to me pretty in a similar space to Backstab, kind of awkward without adding an on hit to it. Doesn't blow the mind. There's certain interactions where it's really good, like people that ward and stuff.
So it one shots Yenderai.
Yeah. So if you really want to dunk on Illusionists,
more of these, man, Yenderai is such a pain in the ass too. Oh my god.
Yeah, and like this thing's just 1 for 3 or 0 for 3. It's like
it's so good against that. Oh my god. I guess too, if people start, if let's say Azuri is super popular and is very good, if people start packing like Oasis Respites and stuff in their deck, I mean, this is an out to that in that situation. So I don't know. I do love Dr. Mortimer here on the card though.
It's sick art. Yeah.
Yeah. That's ugh.
Gross.
So good, man.
So I believe Dr. Mortimer is the guy on Back Alley Breakline who's wearing the plague mask. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
cool.
Nice.
So
good call.
I think that's the same person. And in this art, they're not wearing the plague mask. So you get to see him unmasked for the first time, I guess, which is pretty sick.
Yeah.
I think I saw that on Yuki's Twitter or something. She said something about that. So shout out to Yuki.
Nice.
Want to go back to the top here, guys? Then do you want to go to Orbital Quest?
Yeah, let's do it.
Which is not legal in Blitz. Is that true? According to the Fabric?
I don't know. I don't think so.
That seems kind of odd.
It's his weapon. Like it's his signature weapon.
Right.
It's his signature dagger.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Orbital Quest, Majestic Assassin Weapon, dagger one-handed, 1 power. Once per turn action, 2 resources, attack, go again. So same as the Spider's Bite we've seen previously. Also has Piercing 1, same as the Spider's Bite from the previous set. And it says, when this hits a hero, the next time they defend with 1 or more non-attack action cards this turn, those cards have -1 defense while defending. So basically the mirror image of the Spider's Bite. So we were talking about this when we first saw this. It's like you could, depending on the metagame or your sideboard package, like you could maybe pack 1 and 1, or you could do 2 and 2, or it's kind of cool how they give you the flexibility now with having the bite hit the attack action cards and this Orbital class hitting the non-attack action cards. But I mean, do you guys think that out of the gate one is better than the other, quote unquote?
I think it's just an added layer of deck building that I think just goes with the whole theme of Azuri and Assassin, like just toolboxy to the max, right? Like if you're playing, I think Spider's Bite is probably just better in general against more decks. Like if you're really trying to proc the effect, Spider's Bite is probably just generically better and it hits more cards. But now you have an answer against like Dorinthia, right? If you're against Dorinthia, why are you running Spider's Bite? Now you have a Orbital class that hits all of her stuff. or not all of her stuff. I guess they're technically attack reaction and stuff, but a lot of the cards that she defends with are non-attack actions. Think about like Briar's ability of, being able to pump up non-attack actions. So this is going to be better probably against Runeblade, where like, and the nicest part about, or the coolest part about these daggers is you can like go 1-1, right? I can still run a Spider's Bite with an Orbital Quest in the same game and like kind of maneuver which one I'm attacking with first. So I think that's really cool. I think it's just a nice added layer and wrinkle to deck building, which it's going to be very meta dependent, but it's really cool that they have these tools.
Hey, Roscoe, anything before we move on here?
Yeah, I think Ryan described it well. I don't like this as much as Spider's Bite, but Dory is a good pull. So
Sure.
It exists.
Icelander, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, your Wizards, I guess. True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eats up Wizards, which is fairly kind of thematic because this thing is doesn't this thing,
It's the lobotomy device,
yeah, so it's killing their brains, which is what Wizards are good with.
Very thematic, very thematic.
And you're right that you don't really need two of either of these. I feel like right now with Arachne, you're not super thrilled if you're spending your resources to dagger twice anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So might as well bring two that can,
Sure.
affect different situations, use fewer sideboard slots, and so on.
So after the Orbital Quest, we have the Scale Peeler. Jeez. Majestic Dagger. Same thing as the previous two daggers. 2 resources to attack go again. Piercing 1. And this one says, when this hits a hero, the next time they defend with 1 or more equipment this turn, those equipment have -1 block while defending. This is a pretty interesting one. So we have almost all of the bases covered here. We have Bite, attack. Orbital Quest, non-attack. And Scale Peeler is taking away the equipment. So this is a pretty cool one. What do you guys think about this guy?
She needs that D-React one that we haven't seen yet, but that'll be coming. This is cool. There's some cool interactions with this. Judge, correct me if I'm wrong, but if like they block with a card with temper on it, like a 2-block, let's say Flamescale Furnace, this just one-shots Furnace, which obviously a good player is not going to do it, but Furnace would get destroyed afterwards. Am I correct in that?
It'll never affect the chain link that it's on, because it's always the next time they defend with blah blah blah.
Sure, but if you like go Scale Peeler,
They
Peeler,
could walk into it and kill their temper thing. Yes.
Yeah, right. So that's cool. So that exists. A good player probably won't do that, but it exists. Yeah, just another tool for the box. This is like some like nasty looking like prison shiv. Like this thing's gross looking.
Yeah, seriously. But in typical Ryan Wegner fashion, he's just really leaning on his opponent just being so inept that it just gets into that next round.
The only reason I've won as many games as I have is just I get matched up against people that don't know how to play the game all the time. So it's the best. My one skill.
Usually us.
Yeah. It's the one skill in Flesh and Blood.
All right, we got a big L here, guys. Big legendary. Red Back Shroud. Look at that cleave shot. Here we go. Assassin, equipment, chest. Before I talk about this, though, we have seen there's that girl, appears to be a female, who's got those 2 like things in a lot of the art. So we can maybe infer that's another hero coming down the way or at some point. Not sure if this is the same person or not, but you know what I'm talking about.
The cut to the chase girl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is a 1 block with Battle Worn. Let's go. While Red Back Shroud is in your graveyard, at the start of your turn, you may destroy 2 silver you control. If you do, equip Red Back Shroud. So the same thing as the Whisperers and the Mask of Perdition. And it says, attack reaction. Destroy the Red Back Shroud. The next attack reaction card you play this turn costs 1 resource less to play. This is a spicy guy. So it's like so we know obviously the value of a Findall Spring Tunic giving you a resource every 3 turns. This is kind of in a similar vein where you're getting $1 at some point every X amount of turns, depending on how many times you can buy it back with the silver. But what are we thinking about the Shroud of the Redback here, gentlemen?
I don't know. It's weird for them to give us this set because every card that we've seen, it doesn't fit with Azuri. So I wonder if this is just strictly an Arachne card, but then he doesn't really have a lot of 1-cost attack reactions. So then my head goes, well, is this better with like Pummel, right? Because you don't have to, it's not assassin card, so you can make a Pummel be a 1 cost, which then fits a little bit with some of the cards that we've seen from Azuri with CNC and whatever her spec is. But what's it called? Shakedown.
Shakedown.
So
Yeah.
it's weird, and also we don't have any silver gen, and I don't think silver is a token this set. So this is clearly a card that was designed for like Arachne's cards, the contract cards. Unless we have some, there very well might be something that we haven't seen yet, like a dagger that every time you hit you get a silver, which would be insane. But yeah, I don't know as of right now. It's a cool concept. But I think if you're stacking this up against Tunic is just like objectively better.
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking now that you started talking about that, like, so the new Arachne that wants to go wide with the stealth, with the go again, maybe maybe there's some sort of weird world where he's like some sort of hybrid where it's like half contract, half stealth type thing. Like you can lead with a stealth card with go again and follow up with a contract, and then maybe you're making some silvers.
That's cool.
So I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here. Maybe you play Payday in that deck or something because you don't have as much density of the contracts, and you can try to get the stuff back. I don't know, but you're right. It does feel a little weird considering that it doesn't fit with Azuri. You know.
As of right now, right? There might very well be something that we haven't seen yet, but I haven't. I don't know.
Yeah, I bet they'll both end up playing some mixture of both keywords because there are just some cards that are just flatly good, like Leave No Witnesses and Infiltrate are just like cards you want to play. So they'll have a little bit,
Surgical,
but maybe not a huge amount.
Surgical's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree that this card is in a weird place. There's not a ton of ways to even use its resource, so it's easy to say that Tunic just seems obviously more useful. So I think its main strength is giving you another viable block if you want that, and I don't know if you do, but maybe your deck, perhaps Fatigue Arachne, is playing such a long game that you want to have 3 of those. That spending as many as 6 silver to buy them back is a thing you want to do. Maybe, or one of them wants to have their head or feet slot open for something else for some reason, and you still want to buy back 2 blocks. I don't know. It's hard to place, but its ability doesn't seem that useful yet. But it's a repeatable block, which is great.
Definitely a thing, yeah. I mean, we talked about it off camera. Like as of right now in my mind, I don't think Azuri wants to run Mask of Perdition, so she's probably going to run Crown of Providence, I'd imagine. So her not having 3 things to buy back is probably good because I think as of right now, you run Black Tech, even if it's just kind of, Snapdragons with a block. But I don't even know. I don't think you're running this card with her. I don't know. It very well might. It's interesting though.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell, as it always does.
Indeed.
All right, let's scroll down here. I don't think I see anything else new in the assassin area here. Let me hit the refresh button one more time, though.
We got the
Roscoe.
hybrids,
Dual
baby.
class. Yeah.
Yeah, do I go to the duels down there? The dualies?
Get them.
All right, so the first one is Flick Knives that I'm seeing. So this is another legendary here, and this is the Assassin Ninja Arm. So is this the first dual class equipment?
Indeed.
Awesome.
Roscoe's favorite type of equipment, dual class.
There it
Make
is.
them more desirable.
1 block blade break, once per turn attack reaction, 0 cost. Target dagger you control that isn't on the active chain link deals 1 damage to target hero. If damage is dealt this way, the dagger is considered to hit. Destroy the dagger. So you get to take the dagger and chuck it at him and hit him for 1. So that's pretty sweet. So like not on the active chain link. So let's say hypothetically, if you had 2 daggers and you go with the first one, chain link 1, go to chain link 2, you could chuck the one that's on chain link 1 and hit him for a damage, or it could just be one that's just sitting there. It doesn't even have to be on the combat chain.
Oh, it's chain link. It's not combat chain. So you can attack with the same dagger, do damage with the same dagger twice in a turn. So you can go dagger, second dagger, throw the third or the first dagger for 3 damage from your 2 daggers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit!
Dude, talk about an ultimate Kodachi lock. You got to block 3 of them now instead of.
Well, you can't even block. You can't even block. You have to prevent it.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So this is really good. I mean, we talked about I liked this card when it was spoiled, but I didn't even realize. So now you're going 3 damage with the daggers on the same. That's crazy.
That's pretty good.
And there was a rumor that went
to do so.
Yeah, there was a rumor also, people that are watching this probably saw it, but it said in one of the release notes that Assassin is going to get a way to access cards in their sideboard into the game.
Oh.
So like, I don't know if it's cards or daggers specifically. They said daggers. And then they also said that we're going to get 3 new daggers, which we've seen 2 of them already. So there's presumably a 3rd dagger that we haven't seen yet, and then a way to access daggers from your sideboard. So there's a chance that this thing can, deal upwards of 5 damage. If you have 3 daggers in your sideboard, 2 that you start the game with, this is now dealing 5 damage that's not preventable, which, holy hell, like that's crazy. And each of those daggers, the on-hit registers. So they get the on hit. You can keep dealing damage. It's not blockable, so they have to prevent it.
Yeah,
it's a sick ability. I love the theme of these cards. There's this and 1 or 2 others. I love like literally chucking your knife at the other person. That's very cool. So we can all agree that that's awesome.
Indeed.
And yeah, I mean, even if there is no more cookies and cream down the line, the fact that you get to eventually cash into extremely difficult to block instances of damage is pretty good. Like equipment generating damage is good in the first place, even if it doesn't get better.
So Roscoe, you're more of the ninja player, right? I'm looking at this as an assassin, whatever, somebody who's going to play Azuri. I think this card's crazy for her, but is there a world in which you're throwing Kodachis at your opponent? Like, is this just a game ender? Do you just stick with Shuko? Because I mean, this is a competitive slot for you, whereas Assassin doesn't have anything better. So how are you approaching this from the ninja point of view?
I'm assuming there's going to be something else, but yeah, currently nothing about this makes me want to play it in ninja. I think you're much better off with Shuko for better blocking, or if you're a budget bro like me, just keep using the arms from Welcome to Wraith, which also generates damage. You don't want to throw your Kodachis. You want them to stick around. So, and you don't really care about them hitting in this weird way necessarily. You care about chain links hitting. So the fact that they went to the trouble of making this dual class makes me think that they will print a card that would make me want to do this, but I don't think we've seen it spoiled yet, personally.
Yeah, it's weird that it got the dual class. I mean, it's interesting for sure, and I like the deck building, but it just doesn't seem as if right now it's a ninja card.
Yeah, you at the end of the game, you want to have both Kodachis because they're your end game. So, we'll to see something else to make that plan change because it's a really good plan.
Yeah, right.
Flicking the old knives. After that, we have a blue Majestic here, Stab Wound. So
this card I'll play.
This card you're going to play in Katsu, huh? So it's let's see what it does. It's an Assassin Ninja attack, 2 attack, 3 block. It's a blue pitch, and it says when this hits a hero, they lose X health, where X is the number of times a dagger has hit this combat chain. So Kodachi for 1. Kodachi for 1. Stab Wound. And you're threatening 0 for 4 in a way type of thing.
It's a Kodachi or dagger for 1, dagger for 2, throw the dagger for 3, play this for a 0 for 5.
It does combo with the arms, yeah.
Or it's a 0 for 2, but I mean, you're threatening up to 5 damage. So that's a what? 3 damage from the daggers and then 5 from this thing.
Yeah, I guess
so. Katsu would be happy to play this card if it were blank. So it's easy to put into him.
Yeah,
so
right.
You want blues that cost 0 and block 3, obviously. And the fact that it could do something, like especially in the late game where you have more blues than usual, and it's occasionally going to be 3 or 4 damage. Like amazing. It's exactly what I want. Eat that up all day.
Very good.
Yeah, it'll be cool to evaluate these dual class ninjas because right now we've been looking at the assassin perspective mostly, but when we get more of those ninja cards spoiled, to your point, Roscoe, about seeing what's in there, we can kind of maybe give some more context to these majestics that we've seen.
Yeah.
Let's see what's next. Hurl. This is that a 0? It's a 0, right? It's hard to make out.
Sure is.
0 cost red, 3 attack, assassin ninja attack. It's a 2 block. And it says, as an additional cost to play Hurl, you may pay 1 resource. When you do, it gains, when this attacks, target dagger you control deals 1 damage to target hero. If damage is dealt this way, the dagger has hit, destroy the dagger. Go again. Well, here we go, guys. Here's the, what is it called? Throwing the knives and then hurling, and then we're stabbing the wounds. And that's the ultimate chain link or a combat chain there.
Something I expect. So here's my prediction. Prediction is we'll get a ninja card that combos off of this one.
Oh,
Like there won't be a dual class combo card, but there will be a ninja card that says combo. If your last thing was Hurl, and I would like if it's like you are pulling your dagger
go
back
get the
out
dagger.
Yeah, like on the return slash. That'd be a pretty sick card. So if LSS is listening. And
Well, they're not.
I don't love it.
That's why we're not participating in spoiler season. They're not.
Spectator season. Yeah.
Pretty cool art on this card, though. It seems like this card and what's the other the legendary the chest. It's like that they're in like metrics almost, but it's like an assassin ninja that's like walking around in the metrics area. So that's kind of a interesting little nugget, I guess.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. All right, we have this little guy over here, short and sharp. The card is about the size of a miniature like board game card. You know what I'm talking about?
That's what Welsh has. Welsh has a nickname for something.
Yeah, I've seen that on his profile on different apps. Short and sharp. It's a 1 cost red. I think it's a assassin ninja attack. Okay, so dual class attack reaction. 2 block, and it says choose 1. Target dagger gains +3, or target attack action card with 2 or less base power gains +3. Okay, so maybe a Benji card here. Seems like.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it's extremely limited card material because of Razor Reflex being a lot more useful.
Sure.
Yeah.
This one has a little bit more. Oh yeah, Razor does the dagger too. So
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess Roscoe, to your point,
blocks the same, costs the same, pitch is the same, does almost the same, but less.
For limited purposes, though, you do have now Razor's Edge and this one.
Yeah, it's a limited thing.
And the
attack reactions are good at that low life point.
Right. Right.
It'll exist.
Cool. Short and sharp. The James Welsh. We got to get an alt art of his picture on this thing. That would be the best alt art yet, I think. All right, do you guys want to keep going with these dual class here with the Ranger ones? So we got Assassin Ranger Toxic Tips. Looks like some sort of fingernail type thing where you can give a little, poison scratch. It's a common arms piece, blade break, 1 block. Action resource, destroy the toxic tips. The next attack action card you play this turn gains, when this hits a hero, create a Frailty, Inertia, or Blood Rot Pox token under their control. So you get to destroy it, and it puts that text on the next attack. You get to choose a token to make. For limited, seems pretty cool.
I was going to say limited.card is this guy.
Yep.
Yeah, as a common equipment enjoyer, this is pretty good for one of those. So for the budget bros out there, it's not the worst.
Yeah, what's the one that you played? Breaking Scales, right?
I still play Breaking Scales.
That's the name of it, right? Yeah.
Card's sick.
Yeah, it is a good card.
That card is just generically insane.
So this will get really good if there's some other thing. We haven't seen it yet, but I suspect we'll get some kind of thing that its effect is amplified by how many negative tokens your opponent is sitting on. So probably we'll end up in a place where it's useful to commit a resource to destroy this thing to get 1 more token to make whatever that thing is.
Yeah, the assassin class needs like a frost hex, and then it's like boom,
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Or Or maybe
sorry,
I think there's going to be a thing that has modes based on which one they have, and you can accumulate all three of them.
I was
so
hoping
you actually
that
want a variety.
Yeah, I
think
was
that'll
hoping
exist.
for a Majestic, but I don't think Assassin's going to get it. It sounds like maybe Ranger gets it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
All right. Toxic tips. We're moving on to the books here, and not a tome. We have codexes. So pretty cool flavor here. So this is the Codex of Bloodrot. It's a yellow pitch, 0 cost, Assassin Ranger action, 2 block Majestic. It says each hero puts a card from their hand face down into their arsenal. Create a Ponder token under your control and a Bloodrot Pox token under each opponent's control. Go again. So just as a refresher, if you forgot, the Ponder token says it comes into play under your control, and it says at the beginning of your end step, pop it gets destroyed, and you draw a card. So before you have a chance for Arsenal, beginning of your end step, draw a card, see what you get. Maybe you can do something with that card, Arsenal it, or whatever it may be. So Ryan, you said you're not really in love with this card as of right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I think the other one is significantly better. But I mean, creating just the Bloodrot Pox, it probably is, very strong. So I could be off there, but spending this and then taking another card. So now you've got a 2-card hand. You get a Ponder, so it depends on your hand size. I just think this card can get very awkward. But I'm not sure. Creating tokens seems really good though, and if there is a payoff like Roscoe mentioned, then yeah, this thing becomes better. But I'm excited to kind of see the Marvel version of this, because we know the 3 codexes are going to have Marvel versions. So very excited for that. But yeah, as of right now, I don't know where this fits. It seems like it's much better for Ranger. It's another way to kind of unclog awkward hands and just kind of already force the arrow. You can play an arrow with go again or something, and then still be able to load with your bow. So it seems like it has a little bit more of a direct synergy with them. But I don't know. It's okay. I think the other one is way better, in my opinion, at least.
I agree that this definitely feels more Ranger than Assassin, because that first clause will matter to you way more as a Ranger, being able to reload. It has the advantage over the other one. I'm just noticing that first clause is way less likely to help your opponent with this codex than the other one, spoiler alert. But you don't really have to care about whether they have an arsenal or not. You can still play this for net value. But yeah, it's kind of like a yellow take aim, generates 2 damage and reloads, and you also get a Ponder out of it. So could be fine. Strikes me as something that Rangers might want, although we have plenty of reload these days. So maybe it won't exist. Who knows?
And just something to note, it does say create a Bloodrot Pox under each opponent's control. So if Ultimate Pit Fight ever becomes a thing, I mean, this is 1 card for every opponent at the table.
Man, loves the PvE, man.
So let's go to the Frailty. Same thing, 0 cost, yellow pitch, 2 block. Each hero puts an attack action card from their graveyard face down into their arsenal. Each hero that does discards a card. Create a Ponder token under your control and a Frailty token under each opponent's control. Each hero puts an attack action card from their graveyard face down into their arsenal. Ooh, so you get to buy something back. That's pretty good. Then discard a card. So you kind of cycle a card in a way, or you buy back one and pitch or discard one that's in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this card's really, really good. And like you can time it out to where if your opponent doesn't have an arsenal, or if they already have an arsenal, then they don't get the benefit here. They don't get it, so it's really good there. I think this is good for both Ranger. It's pretty insane for Ranger, but I do think Assassin's good too, because I mean they do have a lot of on hits and stuff, and it allows you, like, if you draw a hand of, say, a bunch of attack reactions where a card's going to get on hit, you can get a little bit crafty with what card you're targeting with this. So yeah, I do like this card a lot. I think this card's really good.
Yeah, this first effect is like absurdly good. And it's not something we have a ton of access to. Like, recurring stuff from our graveyard in a way that's like immediately playable is not super common. So this is just like a some kind of tutor adjacent effect that 2 classes get to play, and it's got the other cookies and cream of making a Ponder and a Frailty token, which is kind of whatever. And it has its main like drawback is that you need to time it around whether your opponent has an arsenal or not. Because if they don't have one, then they're gaining quite a lot of value from this as well. and you don't love it. But
It's
whenever you can make the effect one-sided, it's crazy good to be able to filter a card from your hand into a card of your choice from your discard, get one of your threats back. That's amazing.
6 command and conquers per game.
Yep.
Yeah,
that card doesn't it would be fair if once you play that attack card, it gets banished instead of back to the graveyard. Like they don't do that, so you can just keep recycling the monsters back and forth.
Yeah, I was just gonna say yesterday I was playing some Runeblade, and it's kind of like the power of that Rattlebones effect, where you just have access to quote unquote like 6 Swarming Gloomveils whenever if it happens to turn out that way. And this is a very similar type thing. And yeah, this is insane, man. And like you said, Ryan, now that we've really like dove in here and read it, this one compared to the Blood Rod, it's like the Blood Rod is so like underwhelming compared to this one. This one's ridiculous. This one's insane.
I think it's just because the Blood Rod as a token is direct damage. So you're playing a non-attack that's now threatening 2 damage to your opponent, which is kind of unheard of. But yeah, Frailty is just, I think it's just way better. The Frailty token's not bad either. Like if you catch an opponent with a card in their arsenal already, like everything's -1, right? That's what Frailty does. It's not inertia. Yeah. So that card is already -1, making blocking way easier too. So it's just like, there's not much of a disadvantage to playing this card, even if they have the card, the assassin or the arsenal, or they don't, you're still getting a pretty strong effect.
It is really cute that the Frailty token directly interacts with the card that they get. So
yeah,
that's neat.
Yeah, it's really strong.
Very cool. All right, after Codex of Frailty, we're going on to Death Touch, and this is a rare cycle. So there's a red, yellow, and blue. The red is a 1 cost, 6 power attack, 2 block, assassin ranger attack action card. Death Touch cannot be played from hand. When this hits a hero, create a Frailty, Inertia, or Blood Rot Pox token under their control. So clearly we know with Assassin and Ranger, either the Ranger is going to shoot it, or Azuri is going to sneak this into play and threaten that on hits. It's a pretty sweet card. And the yellow is a 5 power, and the blue is a 4 power. So all of these are above the 3 attack breakpoint. So you could hypothetically play all of them.
Azuri loves this card. This card's like crazy with her. Like being able to sneak it from banish and go around that first clause, I think is just genius design. I don't know how much Ranger loves it, but Azuri definitely, I think, is going to run the 3 of these. So, look at her power level already. If you have Command and Conquer, you have Shakedown, and you have this. That's 9 poppers too. So she's kind of got anti-Dromite tech built in, just with cards that she wants to run. And being able to choose which token you're giving them and when it hits seems crazy, because it's just depending on the matchup, you might want to go with any of the 3, and now you get the choice. I think this card, if this card was printed as a Majestic, I wouldn't have questioned it, but it's not, so it's sick.
And the other colors are pretty okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
this is a pretty annoying blue. 4 power with an on hit.
Yeah, if it blocked for 3, I would have. That would have been mandatory. But I can't complain that much. But yeah, it is very annoying blue. The blue, if you're choosing Blood Rot, threatens 6 damage. This turns into a 1 for 8 potentially if you're choosing Blood Rot, which is that's better than Illusionist numbers.
Yeah, Azuri using this ability. So if you have a red stealth attack for 3 power, it basically turns this into a 0 cost spike with anything. Is one way to think about it. And great point that the fact that this card can generate all 3 tokens, huge. You don't need to sideboard it in and out. You can still flex based on the situation and the opponent. And at worst, it's 2 damage on top of whatever it is. That's amazing.
Yeah, if you're playing Ranger, you can go with Inertia, and then they don't get to Arsenal. If you're playing, Ninja, you can go with Frailty. If you're playing Dagger, there's just so much flexibility with this card. It's like it's almost like its own sideboard. It's genius.
That's good.
I really like these dual class frames on the card. These look awesome with the green.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, the Ranger on the one side and the Assassin on the other side. That's awesome.
Yeah, and the fun part is too, this is I think it's at Calling, right, where these guys are going to be extended arts, which is
Oh, really?
They look, yeah, they like. I think the red one's extended, and then they have the 3 tokens that are. I don't. I'm assuming they're just going to be rainbow foil because the cold foils are for the pre-releases, but I'm not sure.
Gotcha. That's sick.
Nice.
All right, boys. Well, we are at the 1 hour, 5 minute mark here. I don't know if you wanted to just call it here. We can kind of touch base again on the generics and then other stuff once that stuff starts to get rolled out here. But
Yeah.
something that we forgot to mention. It's pretty cool how going back to Azuri, the Switchblade, the young version is from Mysteria. Is that the name of the land?
Yep.
And then I forgot exactly what the story is, but she gets corrupted or something with her family or something, and she goes to the pits. So it's pretty cool that I have that represented in the card frame, where she's just a normal person, so to speak, trying to live her life as a young person, and then grows up to be this this Switchblade assassin, which is pretty sweet. Some cool flavor.
Maybe Azuri looks like Amelia Clark, Daenerys Targaryen.
Oh yeah. We need to give her 15 more subtitles, and she'll get there.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to get into her lore. I think it's going to be really cool.
For sure. So yeah, over the weekend here, we're going to be getting more spoilers, and we have not seen any of the Riptide package really so far. We've seen the Collapsing Trap, but not too much for us to go off of there. And then we need more Ninja cards, so we can probably look forward to coming back and touching on these and also the generics in a future episode. So, Ryan, Roscoe is always pretty sweet. I know, Ryan, you're pretty juiced up on trying her out. Roscoe, what are you thinking as far as Azuri? Is this something that you're into playstyle wise, lore wise, class wise?
Well, not something I'm going to play because Budget Bro is not going to buy CNCs anytime soon. But she looks sweet. I'm excited to see her at the table and mess around with the mind games.
For sure. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Appreciate you sticking around with us if you made it this far. But on behalf of Ryan and Roscoe, I am Chris. We'll see you back hopefully maybe next week with some more spoiler talk of Outsiders. So until next time, take it easy. We'll see you later.
Peace.